All right, this is going to be my walkthrough through this gizmo. So we're in population ecology, right? This is a great uh, little virtual lab that kind of lets you visually see how the populations are changing based off of these limiting factors. So we're going to do this in two parts. There's technically three activities. We're going to do activity A and B today and activity C tomorrow. Okay. So I suggest you have the Google Doc open like this, and I posted a link on Google Classroom, and if you click on that, that brings you to this screen. We've used this before, but to log in, our username and password is chsbio23, okay? And that is our exact password. Use capital letters as well, chsbio23. Okay, if you log in, you should see our list. This one that we're doing today is rabbit population by season. So you just click on this, it's going to pull up the gizmo. Don't necessarily worry about these. You can to figure out if you're getting the answers right or not. But what I'm going to look at and what I'm going to see is this Google Doc. Okay, so what you need to do is you are going to read through this. Yes, read through it. It's going to tell you what you need to click on, what questions you need to answer step by step. So we're talking about populations here. Step one is to select the bar chart tab. So in my gizmo, I have these different tabs here. I'm going to select bar chart. Okay. What is the size of the initial rabbit population? So right now, I haven't really started it, but you should be able to look at this graph, pull it over, and give me an approximate start of my population. So next, you're going to hit play and allow the simulation to run for a year. All right. But first, select the table tab. So we're in the table tab, and I'm going to let this play for a year. So the rabbits are going. As you see, the population is changing. This is the amount of time that's passed, so we're almost at a year, and that's a year. Okay. In which season did the rabbit population increase the most, and which season did the rabbit population increase the least? So to answer this question, you want to look at your numbers here. So at the beginning, I was at 40. During spring, it went up almost 60 new rabbits. So that's a big jump. Look at the different seasons. From summer to fall, I started at 95. I ended up at 111. So how many new rabbits came in summer? Same thing. How many new rabbits came in fall if I started at 111 and I ended at 121? Okay, so you're going to figure out which season produced the most rabbits, which season produced the least amount of rabbits. So that's this warm-up activity. Then we get into the actual carrying capacity section. So notice these boxes up here, they're going to prepare you to get the gizmo ready, things that you need to click on. So we're going to click on the reset button, which is right over here. It's going to ask you some questions to think about before you start, right? Make some predictions. So a limiting factor is any factor that controls the growth of a population. What do you think are two different limiting factors for this rabbit population? What are a couple things that could affect the size, prevent a rabbit population from getting too big? All right, after you answer those, run the gizmo. Select the description tab up here. Select the simulation speed to go to fast. That's just going to make it go faster. Then I'm going to select on the graph tab, which is over here. I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to let this run for about 10 years. Note I can use these zoom methods to kind of zoom in and out my graph. So if I leave it there, I should be able to see when it reaches 10 years here. So if I hit play, it's going to go. I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to do anything with it. Just going to let it run its course. So I'm at 4 years now. And that's where we're going to leave it at about 10 years, okay? So I let the simulation play. Describe how the rabbit population changed. What pattern did you see repeat every year? And how can I explain this pattern? Okay, we just looked at how many rabbits were produced in each season, so you can kind of tell that it does change. It doesn't just stay the same, it goes up and down and up and down. So maybe predict what season that's going up, what season is it going down, that type of thing. After you answer these questions, you're going to have to look at this carrying capacity. This is the maximum number of individuals of a particular species that the environment can support. So we need to figure out this population's carrying capacity. This is important to realize. Average the summer and winter carrying capacities. The carrying capacity is not the highest. That's what people assume. They think it's the highest it went. That's not the case. You want to look at where it's kind of leveling out to be. So if I look at this, I see at my 10-year mark, it started to level out maybe a little bit above 400, and it went back down to about 350, and it's kind of leveling out in between. So if I was to take an average of that, maybe I would say 375, 380 would be my carrying capacity. Okay, it's going to be in the middle of this little section here. And when did the rabbit reach the carrying capacity? Okay, so that's activity A. Activity B, get the gizmo ready. We're going to click reset. So click reset. On the simulation pane, which is on the left side, make sure ample selected for the land. Okay, we're going to be looking at some density dependent limiting factors. So what do you think are some factors that could limit the size that depend on the density of this rabbit population? Okay, it's going to ask you to predict something. And once I get to my experiment, we're going to look at this population and we're going to select different amounts of land, whether it's little land, middle, or plenty of it. Okay, and if you run the course during these different types of lands, you should see that, here, let me pause this really quickly. The ample land, this is a screenshot from that. The moderate, it looks like this, and very little land, the population looks like this. Okay, so you're going to use these three graphs. You're going to determine the carrying capacity for these three different types of graphs. And then you're simply going to analyze it. How are those different? Why do you think the amount of land changed it? And what might be some other density dependent limiting factors for this population of rabbits? Okay, so that's how you're going to go about this first part of our rabbit gizmo. Remember, this is just our first day. We have one more activity dealing with this gizmo tomorrow.